Yes, thanks, Evelyn. And through that case study, which is one of the first results of CLIPSA project, I will try to show how ethnography can be articulated within an action research program. And we'll speak about adaptation to climate change, so in the direct continuity of your presentation, Gilbert. So my presentation is divided into 3 parts. We'll first present CLIPSA in short, because after the break, there will be a presentation of the project in more details by Catherine. The second part, I will speak about local knowledge component of CLIPSA project and a focus on Tahiti and Futuna. So the fieldwork I've been working in 2024. And at the end, I will conclude with that question, how to translate this first result for public policy. The CLIPSA in very short, this is a research action project combining climate and social sciences, which is aimed to build the capacity of Pacific countries and territories to adapt to climate change. So more precisely, 4 Pacific islands and territories are involved in the project: Vanuatu, New Caledonia, Wallis and Futuna, and French Polynesia. I will speak about the 2 last territories, and my colleague Samson will show the first result of the 2 first. And the project is led by IRD, AFD, and Meteo France, and involves a multidisciplinary team, and some of the researchers are here in the room. So how the governance of the project, so it is important, as I will try to articulate the research project within the research action project, so we need to understand how it has been built. So local governments of the 4 territories, they approach the AFD with a request for that component. The basis, they need simulation, climate modeling to know the climate in the incoming years. And so the AFD built a consortium with IRD, French National Institute for Research and Development, which work closely with IAC and with Meteo France to answer this need. And in addition to climate modeling, so the 4th component, 3 other components have been integrated into the CLIPSA project. So that one, climate portal and adaptation strategy, that will emerge for the 3 others, vulnerability and modeling impact, and so the last one, local knowledge and transmission procedure, the one I'm working on with. So regarding the last component, local knowledge and transmission procedure, 3 kinds of results are expected. Database gathering, local knowledge and practices, documenting climate change adaptation strategy among population, and to figure out how sectoral public policies could potentially be reviewed to integrate and anticipate this future risk. So they are quite ambitious results, and that ask some questions, especially how fieldwork ethnography and inductive qualitative research can provide these concrete results, and how scientific findings can fulfill the needs of territory actors and be applied into actionable elements for public authorities. So to answer this question, we implemented a double methodology. The first one is strictly qualitative research. So we set up an inductive approach on the 4th territory. So hypotheses are elaborated from fieldwork observations. Producing qualitative data, transcript interviews, thematic analysis, observation reports, and writing scientific reports. And the second methodology is based on participative science and applied research. And we involve and dialogue closely with local actors during the project. And we mobilize participatory tools to decline results into assimilating elements. So now let's talk about local knowledge components. So I will speak about it very shortly, but you will have more information from other presentation. I won't present the fieldwork, but this is very close from Jean fieldwork, so the Tahiti Peninsula, so between Taravao, Tautira and Taupo. So we worked there a couple of months last year with Marie-Amélie and also with Jean on the picture. And that was a multi-actors approach. So we worked both with farmers, so we conducted interviews with them, and also with institutional actors. So to conduct both methodology in the same time. The first fieldwork was focused on producing data on local knowledge circulation. So not on the local knowledge themselves, but on the ecosystem. And the second fieldwork, which is upcoming in 10 days, will be focused on small-scale farmer and producing data on local knowledge. At the end of this first fieldwork, we made 2 presentations in Papeete and Taravao to submit first results to local actors and farmers, and 1 workshop with institutional actors to link CLIPSA results with the needs. And here is graphic presenting the different institutions we met and work closely with. About the data, so I won't read the interview abstract, but it speaks about 3 generations cultivating on the same field. So the son experimented a new practice to plant taro. He was not encouraged by his father, and actually he harvested bigger taro. So the dialogue between the father and the son, which is reported from the son's point of view, reveal a kind of generation and production competition. Why? Because actually local knowledge is supposed to come from all the people, but this generation has a capacity of experimentation, and then sometimes it leads to it improve productivity in the field. Short picture of how we work in Futuna. So it was a shorter fieldwork, just a couple of months, which was led by Isaac Tricalepa, one of our colleagues. He conducted semi-interactive interviews with 25 farmers, and together we also work closely with institutional actors. At the end of the fieldwork, so we also made presentations to submit results and organizing workshops with local institutions to see how those results could be interesting for them and how can we shape them to answer the need. So the same, a short abstract of one of the interview, and there's a farmer explained he received first knowledge from his father, but that over the first years of farming, he tested to plant different feculent at different times to identify the best day for planting. So I'm sorry, I just show abstract from 2 interviews. There are many others that provide information about local knowledge circulation. How do you get the knowledge you use on the farm, and also about how you improve it. So familial network is an important resource mobilized to build your knowledge, but it's not the single one. Farmers mobilize a large panel of immaterial resources to build, modulate, and adapt their knowledge and practices. So amongst them, we will find learning resources, and familial resources is a very important learning process, but also professional, specialized group, media, and we also listed transmission resources, like working with young trainees, with workers, sharing knowledge with other farmers. None of these resources are mobilized alone. Farmers rely on a combination of them and often a combination also of information channel. So I'm sorry, I won't detail the matrix on the right because I think Catherine will speak about it a bit more this afternoon. But more or less, we listed 30 and so list of indices to try to measure the volume of how those different resources were mobilized by farmers. And so I spoke about circulation of local knowledge and now about the capacity of empiricism. So we observe that before adopting new practices, many farmers test some of this knowledge and practices in their own fields over a few weeks or a whole season before adopting it, extending it or not, depending if it was successful or not. They mobilize material and immaterial resources to develop their ability to experiment, in other words, their capacity of empiricism. And that complete also what has been said about traditional knowledge. There's also this capacity to build new knowledge from this kind of traditional knowledge and also the capacity to improve them. Local knowledge and empiric knowledge are often localized, restricted to a community or an individual and considered as subjective. So not very well, yes, I will finish in less than that. So it's difficult to capitalize on them because they are very localized. Yet they are inductive and adapt to their environment and indeed to climate change. So it was just to say that empiricism is often considered as a sensible experience opposed to rationalism, and in social science we try to reconcile both. To conclude, how are we going to try to translate those first results for public policy? Results from local knowledge component, but also from other components, climate modeling and vulnerability and impact modeling. Actually, there's a coming workshop next week, 25th and 26th of March, which will be focused on the public actors' needs regarding CLIPSA results. The objective is to define the data format of the coming CLIPSA results. And how we'll process for that, we translated some of those results in different prototypes that will be submitted during the coming workshop, so about local knowledge, but also climate modeling and vulnerability. And then it will be some material for discussion with public actors. So what to remember? So I divided the conclusion in two parts. From the qualitative research, clearly empiricism and scientific approach of farmers is potentially a leverage for adapting to climate change, maybe more than local knowledge in themselves. That's why we're gonna explore in the coming months. Local knowledge and practices evolve. They cannot be surveyed independently of their circulation and modulation. And that's also why in the project we speak about local knowledge and we avoid using the term traditional knowledge because it gives an image that knowledge is fixed and doesn't move. Coming fieldwork research will provide more results about local knowledge and their circulation. And from the participative applied research, CLIPSA project will produce different kind of data, documents to ensure the result will be shaped in a useful way for local actors. And I think also that we'll probably see next week that local actors have very different needs, depending on the territory, the scale, discipline, and that we will have to make choices also. It is important to separate data production, scientific analysis, and how to translate results for public policy. So in real, we do the three of them together, but when we show the results, it is important then to separate them again. Developing applied research over 4 territories is very ambitious and it takes time. And one of the indirect impact of the applied research is also that involving actors from the fourth territory. The project creates temperate spaces for dialogue between local actors. We could see that in Polynesia, but I'm pretty sure next week is going to be very interesting to observe how actors just interact with each other, because they are very curious about the results and what's going on the other territory. So I hope we will have time to observe their discussion and understand also how a project like CLIPSA create moves and interaction with actors, which was not the aim at the very first. So thank you, and this is just a picture of a common field work we made, because we are 8 people working on that component.
Maya?
Thanks. That was a great presentation. I really enjoy your kind of focus on knowledge as a developing body or concept and that it's a process, right? And I think you demonstrate how that retention and transmission of knowledge it happens. But I'm wondering, you said that it's very localized, I guess based on what farmers are saying, and that it isn't really spread, I guess, the knowledge about specific productive practices that improve production. Do you see that as a potential intervention, building networks in which these learnings are shared, I guess to improve spread, the usefulness of it? Thank you.
That's what we are going to try to focus on over the next months. Gilbert said earlier that it's difficult to. This is a very different logic about crop practices for just eating, and if you try to develop for export, and it's more or less the same thing. It's a balance between the most localized is know-how, the most adapted to its specific environment it's going to be. And if you move the scale, you can see that that move the bit becomes more generic and start to be shared with more people. And that's why I'm not very comfortable just right now to show a result about local knowledge. I'm more comfortable about speaking about the ecosystem, the circulation, and now we figure out more or less what is important and what we can capitalize on. And about knowledge circulation, for example, we work closely with agricultural education in Tahiti, because if familial network is very important, this is also very informal. It doesn't mean that informal knowledge can't circulate over a large territory and cross the border of islands, but it's important also to work and study formal network of circulation, because if the aim of CLIPSA research project is very interesting about how they are localized, but the research action part is also interesting. How can we support on a larger scale this knowledge? And so this is a balance we will try to find the good one between the two.
Maya, thank you very much for your presentation based on local knowledge component. I have 2 questions. The first is, how do you select farmers to be interviewed? For example, is it based on specific criteria or the importance in social environment or relation with other producers? The second question will be about some distinction between new practices, new knowledge, and compared to traditional knowledge. It's not very clear to move from research and to do participatory research?
About how did we choose the farmers we worked with. In qualitative data, the risk is to generalize a case from a very specific point of view. One of the things I do on fieldwork to prevent that thing is to have very different entrance. So that was my first field work in Tahiti. So I started to work with institutions. They gave me some contact with association, and also from the when I heard about a farmer, I tried to meet with him. We also made contacts from Facebook, and we tried to mix the entrance, so institutional, associative, and from the networks. But for the first field work, most of the time there was an intermediate to get into contact with farmers. A choice we made also is to, because they were intermediate, so it means that farmers were known somewhere. So they were quite, I can't say large farmers, but middle and large farmers. But it helped me to understand also the stakes of agriculture in Tahiti, which was very important for me. For the second field work, we will focus on vulnerability, so small scale farmers. And now that I know better the ecosystem of local actors and how it works simply, we will have 3 different entrants working with association like ADI, which work for professional insertion, and that gives some very small grants to help farmers who want to, farmers or entrepreneur in general, to start an activity. So they work at a very small scale. There's also a lot of farmers selling on the road. So we started also with Catherine to make interview, and then we go on the field, and also le porte-à-porte. We decided just to go and visit gardens and to see who's there, to be sure that we will have all the kind of profiles. And in qualitative methodology, the rule is not to try to generalize it but to be sure that you've got the largest diversity of interests and profile. And I'm pretty sure that we are good with that. And the second question was, can you remember?
New practices, new knowledge compared to traditional knowledge.
Yeah,
that's
and that is a very interesting question.
Based on what Gilbert said before, because we are on the same field of sciences.
So, do I have the time to answer? Yeah. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. From an ethnography point of view, we work on farmers' point of view. So from what they say, and they give that's their point of view about what is new and what is ancient. But I know that it was difficult for Marie-Amélie, who's an agronomist, and myself at the very beginning, because it was our first fieldwork in Tahiti. And so most of the practices, their historicity is not documented. So that's why we need to speak with many people, and especially with institutional experts, to make a balance between the farmer's point of view about what is old and new, and what institution will taught us. Because we could see practices that we found were emerging, but actually, especially in vanilla culture, for example, but they were already present on the territory 30 years ago, and only expats could give me that information.